Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3. As today we're coming at you back on the mono track, as we set our sights on yonder temple. And, of course, for those who are wondering, I did actually cut out a small bit here at the beginning. When we first came back from camp, it did dump us back over here, near where we met Elminster, but it turns out there's really just nothing else to see there. He was essentially just one last narrative pit stop before you hit an exit grid to Act 2. So yeah, obviously not where we want to go just yet.
North, Rosy Morn Monastery. West, Moonrise Towers.
That said, we're rested, rebuffed, and ready to go. So yeah, let's go flex some of these new elixirs we just brewed. Let's give it a peek.
Breathe deep and move. This view's almost worth the walk.
Yeah, can't really argue there. Lovely view. Right up until you're pitched off one of those cliffs.
Approach the ferry in Lathander's grace. May his gaze shine upon you, pilgrim.
Well, that's pretty uplifting. The question being, why do we need the lift? Are there no other alternate paths? No, we can pretty clearly see a winding path along the cliff face here. I mean, realistically, it would obviously be more convenient, I suppose, but strategically, as a dungeon master, its purpose would be to avoid some sort of unseen hazards, I think.
That's not going to work.
But skipping content's never really been what I'm about, so... You know what? That's fine.
Damn! Completely stuck. I wonder when it was used last. Next time's the charm? Maybe not.
Interesting. Okay, so it was a one and done. Definitely not something they consider vital, but more of a shortcut of convenience. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like I was saying, I'm not much of one for skipping content, so while I would have pulled the lift up just to get a better look at it, we almost certainly would not have ended up using it anyway, because then we would have missed stuff like this. Though we will need to keep our heads on a swivel, since obviously this is the more perilous of paths. As for this, I think this is the campsite for those Gith hunters who chanced upon the Absolutists. That's certainly what the apples and arrows would imply. And it would make sense continuity-wise, because if the lift is out, and we know these guys came from the monastery, they would have had to take this path, which is another reason for us to do it as well, since we'll essentially be retracing their steps and possibly finding clues in the process.
Step carefully. There's a trap.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
There's work to do.
That is why the lift is there, because they booby-trapped the approach here with what amounts to essentially instant death traps. Oh, gosh, yeah, see?
Can't give up now.
Fortunately,
Can't slow down.
Scratch already kind of pinged that second one while we were dealing with the first, but,
Looks like a trap there.
But yeah, given the positioning, that would almost certainly knock someone into the instant death chasm.
I wonder what the next move is.
breathing, despite everything.
So we'll need to tread lightly until we're away from open cliff faces.
Looks like a trap there.
Gosh.
What to do?
Okay, I think we're good. We can just hug the wall from here on out. Plus, we get a reward for our perseverance. I mean, the apples and arrows are already a pretty obvious sign of passing Gith, but I'm sure our feathered friend there can confirm.
I believe we're approaching the crash. Once we're inside, let me do the talking.
Just to be clear, you're going to lead us into a nest of Gith Yankee marauders, and we're supposed to trust that will end well for us.
Is that a problem?
More a sign of the times, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. These aren't the sort of life choices you make when things are going fine. Hey, bud.
I've got nothing left to take, so you might as well shove off.
I mean, I would kind of like to take that key, but, someone stole from you. How terrible.
Steal? Eagles are bigger. They just take. Nest, prey, everything. That's how it works here.
Well, I mean, if it's any consolation, your nest here seems perfectly serviceable. Nice view. Up until a few seconds ago, there were a bunch of free apples on the floor.
Oh, sure, a nest. But it's not my nest. That's up on the roof with the eagles. Eagles are pricks.
Whoa, wait. So, hold on. If this isn't your nest, then whose is it?
Some poor little tit who wasn't paying attention.
Okay, I really don't want to get lost in the weeds here, but what I'm hearing is the eagles are jerks for taking your nest, but it's cool that you took someone else's?
Exactly right. Not all humans can grasp bird ethics. You should be proud.
Not a human.
Oh, it's not even like the eagles need my nest. The drunk lizards they eat aren't hard to catch.
Drunk lizards. Mid-level troglodytes? Other dragonborn? Oh, come on. Off to a great start, I say. Alright, we've got plenty of inspiration. Oh, for goodness sake. Really missing those bliss spores about now.
While quite vague, drunk lizards could well point to kobolds, who tend to operate in packs.
Oh, wow. Kobolds. I mean, yeah, obviously that does fit the description. Drunken lizard things, but I would not have expected to encounter kobolds 50-plus hours into this game. Like, classically, they're standard low-level entry-level monsters. Cannon fodder for starter dungeons. Hey, I'm headed that way anyway. You want me to check in on this whole eagle situation?
You? Kill an eagle? But if you think you can, then please kill the eagles. They're the worst.
Didn't say I'd kill them, just that I'd check in on it, but But, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Thank you. I'll keep an eye on the roof. Rude bastards, those eagles. Deserve a little comeuppance.
Yeah, I could definitely see giving them the bird. So, can I just take this key? Apparently we
Eyes on
can.
my feet.
Might not have risked it if he'd been a more cordial critter, but to be fair, it's definitely somewhat indicative of standard bird behavior. Small iron key. Given the obvious signs of Gith passage, I'm guessing that's for something up at the monastery. Possibly an access point. As for our friend the J back there, yeah, obviously a bit of a jerk himself. I do notice that our journal was updated with an actual quest to recover his nest. And whilst normally I might not condone his larcenous and hypocritical behavior, he is just an animal. You know, we can carry on conversations with these guys, but that doesn't suddenly give them a civilized set of standards and mores. There's our lift platform. And there's our monastery. That's got to be our front approach. Though even from here, we can already see what looks to be a diverging path leading down and around that front overlook. Let's finish clearing our approach. Okay, well, this feels obvious. I mean, yeah, even without the survival checks, I probably would have tried digging there. And look at that. A restock on one of our early morning elixirs. Very nice. That is actually something I still need to do, is go back and revisit a bunch of the early game vendors so we can restock on rare crafting ingredients. Though, you know, obviously with any luck we'll find more just in our day-to-day travels. Okay. Looks like a stash point down there. We'll check that out before we make our entrance. And, obviously we'll clear this lift platform too. It's right over here.
North, Rosy Morn Monastery.
Oh, and look at that. We've got a source for our Gith's apples. Turns out they got them a la carte. No signs of the original owners, though. In light of what we've seen thus far, it might be a safe bet to assume that was part of the Absolutist's wagon train. Feels like the Gith were using guerrilla tactics, essentially whittling down at a tougher foe, depriving them of resources, trying to use traps to knock them off the cliff face, and then picking through whatever they left behind before that final ill-fated assault. Ooh, makeshift altar. Nice. Nothing marked as own, so I feel like it's probably safe if we help ourselves. I mean, that right there is another one of our early morning elixirs. So again, offset's the one we used for Shadow. Very nice. Which, she in turn used to set up Aid. Party-wide hit point boost. Let me just finish perusing this platform. Then we'll have a quick peek at those prayers and or curses.
Next time's the charm.
Lift's jammed on this side too. Oh. Okay, well this part still works. Cool. Well. Not sure why this one would work when it's clearly connected to the same mechanism, but you know, we'll just call that a suspension of disbelief. More importantly, it does give us, I suppose, a quick way back up and down. Though ultimately, I think the purpose was to avoid those traps, those potential instant death traps that we passed earlier. Though it would have also come at the cost of some minor loot and potential clues. The key and the quest. Though to be fair, neither is particularly vital. Pilgrim's Prayer. Good morning, Lathander. I suppose all mornings for you are good, you making them up out of all the bright bits of night and getting them shine-worthy and such. I have 2 new boys, Luke and Elliot, and I should like them to see lots of your nice sun-ups. So if you should watch over them, I would be most thankful. I am poor as muck, but have some heart left to give, that which has not been eaten up by the boys and their mum. So that bit is yours, if you keep them seeing sunrises. Thanks. Harrison Fields. Not a lot to glean there, but we did get some name drops. Harrison, Luke, and Elliot Fields. Plus an unnamed Mum Fields. Unless Mum is her name, they did capitalize it. Dear Morning Lord. And you are a dearie. Haven't I just had the grandest time? Sure, if I was honey, I wouldn't have trouble getting down a hill. So warm and good I feel. I've been headed here to pay you homage and beyond on other business for some 2 odd months, and every mile has unearthed more and more kindnesses. For example, when my sleeping roll was infested with bedbugs, itching me disagreeably, Morning Lord, I have no qualms admitting it, a woman gave me a spare of hers, and it was toasty warming of a night, and she with 2 children of her own to tend. Anyway, thanks for pouring your honey heat over each and every day, cloudy or no. Here for a lone woman, barefoot and smiling on the long road. Again, not a lot to glean there. No names, though. The woman with 2 children might be Mum Fields. Pilgrim's Curse. Morning, Lord. You never rose up over nothing. You're just a fucking sham like all gods, dirty, stupid animals. All of you rotten pigs, wee. You ain't got shit on the absolute, etc., etc. Okay. So that clearly came from the absolutist who passed this way. So really, aside from the Fields family, who I don't think will be relevant, those notes mostly served to show that, yeah, the absolutists must have definitely passed this way. So I think that does kind of confirm that the apple cart there was one of theirs. They passed by the monastery, likely set up camp near that lift. Then got clocked by Gith hunters, who harassed them the rest of the way up the pass. Though I suppose directionally it doesn't really make much sense, because... Oh, you know what? They might have come out this way, camped near the monastery, then turned around when they realized they were being trailed by Gith. Hey, Glyph, nice. There's our foothold. a spot we can fall back to and rest and restock as need be. As well as an elevated path. So a third potential path of approach. Oh. What's up, bud? Huh. Oh, he might be detecting something in the building. Yeah, again, that's an elevated access point right there. Let's try the shovel real quick, just in case.
Nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Didn't look like a diggable surface, but, you know, sometimes things get weird. Might be a trap up here. Possibly an alarm. To warn of sneaky snakes trying to skulk their way into the second story. Let's put a pin in that for now. I'd like to, scratch. Okay, so I guess they've updated non-bipedal companions to keep up with you on climbable surfaces, but that was, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty incredible. Anyway, sorry, had a moment of pause there. Speaking of which, autosave. And enemies on our map, kobolds. So we do indeed have kobolds. Looks like they're just on the other side of these stained glass windows.
Have to keep going.
I wonder if we could... No, they're not registering as targetable. And we've got guards up front. No, not just guards. Also... Okay, we've got Gith terrorizing some hapless halfling. So Gith and kobolds, that is a weird combo.
That's enough. On your feet.
Where are you taking us?
If this is about that weapon your friend was talking about, we don't have it and we don't know shit about it.
Silence! Move!
No. No, I'm not going in there. I won't.
Anyone want to join her? As I thought. Through the doors. Now! The captain is expecting you.
Forward, carefully. These cultists have the crash on high alert.
More cultists of the Absolute, yeah. I might have actually interceded if I hadn't noticed the amulets.
Lathander's got no love for ravening undead, does he?
That he does not. As aforementioned, one of the longest-running player characters in one of my games was a follower of Lathander, so I'm more familiar with him than most. And Lathander always seemed like a pretty stand-up dude. Alright, Corliss.
So the Githyanki aren't fond of the cultists. Could be a good thing.
I mean, it does make sense. The Gith and the Absolutists are after the same artifact. The one we're currently toting. Alright, Corliss. Let's chat.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Hey there. Sorry to have to break this to you, but you are terminally offline. Who are you in life?
Corliss. Undertump. Novice of the Absolute.
Sure, sure. Why are the Gith harassing you so much?
Searching. Hunting. For weapon.
Yep, that does track. Why did you run?
Scared. Heard bad things. With Yankee. Torture.
Right, can't really fault you there. I don't suppose you actually know anything about this weapon?
Nothing. Was telling the truth. Didn't know anything.
Sucks. So wait, if you don't know anything about the weapon, why were you out here in the first place?
Path to Moonrise Towers. Absolute. Answering the call.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Oh, okay. So she was not from Moonrise. That actually...
All right, time to skulk about.
That actually does help explain what we saw back on the trail.
Path.
A group of absolutionists from somewhere else headed to Moonrise Tower, connecting to the trail the other group was also using.
Within the artifact, a feeling stirs. Uncertainty.
Oh, is that so?
Your curiosity is getting the better of you. Do not let it. Stay away from the Githyanki. They're hunting you. They want the artifact. They'll stop at nothing to take it from you.
Wow, okay, so hold on. That is also very interesting because classically, I don't think we've seen any direct connection between the mysterious artifact and our dream visitor. But here it did very much seem like she was directly responding to the sense of anxiety we were receiving from the artifact, which really does imply the visitor is in fact how the artifact communicates with us, which in turn implies the artifact is sentient. Given the nature of the Illithid, we might actually be carting around like a Migo-style brain in a jar. One that's still alive and psychic capable. That would be a really interesting twist. Also, we have yet another potential access point here, which does indeed appear to take us into a brewery. So that would certainly explain the drunken kobolds. We'll give them a wide berth for now. I don't want to pick any fights until we've finished our scouting. Glory to you, bringer of the dawn. My wife and I have been trying to conceive for nearly 2 years now with no luck. We've long been followers of your blessed creed and visit Rosymorn every 10 day to worship at your altar. Please, Lord, I know you've given us a lot already. But if you hear our prayer, grant us this one wish, and you will find us in your service tenfold. This is all that now stands between ourselves and everlasting joy. We have faith in you, Lathander, and are grateful for the many blessings of your light. Ooh, not the kind of note you want to find next to two skeletons.
If not over, then through.
Well, on the bright side, probably not the fields, at least. All right, let's check the lower path here. I mean, who knows? Maybe those skeletons were just monks or novices carrying offerings to the greater temple when they were cut down by the Gith. I mean, we are really kind of getting a pretty clear picture painted for us here, which, as always, I do really appreciate about Larian's design. They do a very good job of both visual and verbal storytelling. Ooh, that's interesting. From what we can now gather, it would seem Moonrise Tower put out the call to absolutists in all of the nearby areas, and they're converging, using these various trails and whatnot. Only in this particular case, it was just their bad luck. The Gith had already cleared out this Temple of Lathander, which might be intentional. I mean, we haven't gotten in there just yet, but it's possible the Gith set up here deliberately, knowing that worshippers of the Absolute would be... Oh, there we go. Would be coming by this way, since, of course, they are both looking for the same thing. Which would also help explain why they trapped the various trails and clearly set up ambush choke points. Like that first spot we passed earlier, the makeshift camp just off to one side of the lift. There were empty potion bottles there where they were clearly prepping before their assault on the other passing cultist cargo train. Only obviously they ended up biting off more than they could chew, because that group was carrying a high-value target, and thus was much more heavily armed and armored than these other various random cultists they seem to be waylaying. We also have a fourth approach over here. And, you know, we're already over here. Might as well scope it out. This side of the monastery seems in much worse shape. So that would imply it's much more likely to be abandoned or sparsely guarded. We also have a lone grave perched up on this cliff face. Let's get a gander at that. What's up, Scratch? Oh, no, please don't tell me you're... Yes, I am aware there is something buried in that grave. But, you know, I think we'll maybe avoid digging that up until we have good reason to. I do appreciate the call-out, though.
Arskel Stockhold, Dawnmaster. From death, life.
I'll make note of that. Given the prominent positioning and title, that's obviously someone of import.
Arskel Stockhold, Dawnmaster. From death, life.
Arskel Stockhold. We'll see if the name comes up again. Perhaps in tandem with any records that might imply he was buried with something important. I mean, obviously the big thing I'm looking for here is some sort of in-world excuse for Auric to actually be willing to desecrate a grave. Generally speaking, I am, of course, willing to make some exceptions when it comes to gaming the system. But ultimately, I don't want to do anything that's wildly out of character. And I feel like opportunistic grave robbing would definitely...
Keep them busy!
would definitely fall on that list.
Thunder, forgive me. We have to fire the lance.
Oh.
Talking statues are never a good sign.
Ground! Keep them busy! The Thunder, forgive me. We have to fire the lance.
Survive this. A magic mouth spell. But whoever voiced it is probably long dead.
Does this count as adventuring?
Magic mouth. Weird. Why would you... I mean, obviously it was relaying a final message, but...
Don't waste a step.
You would need to be on site to cast a magic missile, so why would you cast it to relay what sounds like an immediate, on-the-spot sort of command? Rule of 3. We've already read that one, but we'll glance at it real quick, just in case there's something new. Nope, just another copy. Did they change the way Magic Mouth works in 5th edition? Maybe it can be used to transmit now. Like you set up 2 Magic Mouths, and then you can talk through them like an arcane PA system. That would certainly explain the talking statue. Still reciting the last message transmitted through it. We've got some potentially interesting notes here. Inventory of offerings, and we glimpse some maintenance records up top. We'll grab those next. Let me just scour here. Usually when they have a bunch of stuff scattered like this, they have 1 or 2 things that are actually worth finding mixed in. Though I'm not seeing much here, aside from maybe the food, or wine rather.
Anything of use?
Let me check this side over here. Can we get up on that landing? That ornamentation looks kind of conspicuous.
What's that?
We also have our 3rd redundant entrance into this hallway here. Since we also had a breached wall and broken windows. An inventory of the food and offerings brought to the monastery, and their redistribution to alms seekers. Not gonna lie, that's a lot less info than I was hoping for. I was really kind of hoping it might highlight some particularly valuable goods or some other intriguing recent arrival. Can't get up there. There was a mantelpiece we could climb onto, though, right? I want to say way back near the beginning of the game. But regardless, this one doesn't seem to be surmountable. Might as well check this hall while we're here.
Softer than a whisper.
Though in retrospect, I should have used one of the quieter access points.
What path lies before me?
Thankfully, that doesn't seem to have drawn any attention. I do have to remind myself.
Pockets.
We've got Gith in here somewhere. And kobolds. And potentially giant eagles? Though, again, this side of the monastery definitely more messed up than the other. So it does seem well and truly abandoned.
Let's be on my way.
Let's pop up top.
Stand your ground! Keep them busy!
That's got to be from the,
We have to fire the lance.
from the Gith assault, I assume. The lance.
I'll take that.
Oh. Looks like a breachable wall. Yes.
Something over there.
Oh, hello. Guardian of Faith. Which means that must be the chambers of a particularly high-ranking priest. I'll bet if we find the right lore objects, we can find some way to peacefully bypass it. Let's see here. Reminder to the caretaker, when oiling the machine, make sure you don't grease the statues themselves. Stones become loose of late, and has a tendency to slip. Novice Perron was rumored to have triggered a full spin once. Oh, interesting. That is not what I was expecting. So not only do we have a Guardian of Faith just beyond that wall, but apparently we also have some sort of rotating statue puzzle buried deeper within. Mention of oil or grease could be a clue. Perhaps we'll have reason to lube it up to better facilitate spinning.
Time to press ahead.
We'll avoid the Guardian for now, at least until we gain more context. Oh, interesting. The door is magically reinforced. I mean, obviously I don't want to avoid all of the potentially interesting things, it's just the way they tend to set up these dungeons, you know, it really encourages you to exhaustively explore before you confront the obvious puzzles or dialogue events. Oh, look at that. Exterior balcony. What's up, Scratch? Ah, I see. Another fairly obvious ramshackle barricade. So we're above the entrance here. There's the broken windows. That means we're above the winery over here.
That might be worth a look.
We have another balcony over here. The monastery does seem to be more or less symmetrical. Oh, look at that. We've got more broken windows. So another access point to the cloister area. Which I guess we should check. That would connect back out to the exterior raised platform we saw earlier on our way in. We'd essentially have a full circuit around the entire monastery. That'd also give us easy access to the glyph right on the other side. Nice solid foundation for further exploration. Yeah, that's our original approach down there. Okay, let's clear this room, and I think we'll be at a good place to call it. We'll have a nice solid foothold, plus foreknowledge of some potential threats to come. The kobolds, the eagles, the Gith, of course. The Guardian of Faith.
Out of sight, out of mind. Don't want to draw any attention.
Uh-oh, what's going on here? Grimishka. Okay, well, someone... Oh, hi. Hi there, weird, hairless cats? What's up? What's up, guys? Ah, I see. Well, this is a bummer. Though, on the bright side, I think those are more like maybe furless jackals than cats. Not that I feel great about killing dogs either, but, you know. What the heck is a Grimishka? Okay, well, apparently it's a monstrosity, so I guess I shouldn't feel bad about taking them out. Allergic to magic. If a spell or cantrip is cast close to the Grimishka, it might react to the magic and trigger a random effect. Interesting. Not gonna lie, when I first saw Grimishka pop up, I assumed it was a name, not... I mean, like a proper name, not a creature. Alright, well, let's take them out. I'm not gonna puzzle too much over what they might be, not until after we've had a chance to scour for clues. Doubly so after the Death Shepherds. You know, I was really thrown for a loop by those guys, but it just turned out they were Larian homebrews. These things might be too. Scratch, why don't you hang back? You're just here for scouting. Rex is expendable. You are not.
Better be careful with any magic. Spells set them off.
Huh. Interesting that Auric acts like he knows what these things are.
Knees high.
That would certainly imply a later edition addition, as opposed to something completely homebrew. Oh, come on. That's fine. Just hang tight. In fact... might as well hedge our bets. No telling how many more might come pouring out of the woodwork. Though, on the bright side, they are very frail.
Can't give up.
Tuck in here.
On the move.
We'll get Lay up front.
Victory awaits.
Yeah. We'll have Lay back up Karlach.
Hachazeth.
My goodness. I almost feel bad. These do feel like a weirdly low
Where do I go from
level encounter.
Don't waste a step.
Then again, they haven't started popping off wild magic just yet, so maybe I'm speaking too soon.
Magic around these things is more trouble than it's worth.
See, like, wild magic definitely does feel very much like a Larian thing. As do kobolds, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised we have kobolds just downstairs. It's just odd encountering things this fragile after the Death Shepherds. I do love that counter. That's another one of those things that really does kind of make 5th edition feel more dynamic. Like you're not just waiting turns to attack. I'm sorry, what? What just happened? Looks like an icy surface. Oh yeah, Ice Bloom. Oh no, Armor of Agathis. Interesting. So do not melee attack it. Gotcha. Okay, I mean, not a huge game changer, but definitely something worth noting. We'll just huck one of these guys into him. Oop, might have overdone it there a bit. Oh, here we go. Armor of Agathis out. And one left on the field. Okay, let's wrap this up. Kind of a waste of a frenzy, but that's fine. Better safe than sorry. Not to mention, of course, we do need to long rest a little more often.
Go on.
And we're good. Not gonna lie, I was really kind of expecting more to just keep showing up. Or for the kobolds below us to be alerted and come running up as well. But I suppose they might be too dead drunk for it.
Catch a break.
Gramishka Tail. Used for Wizard's Bane oil. When a feckless spellcaster attempts to create life and bungles it, the result is a Gramishka. Spiteful and malformed, Gramishkas hold a particular loathing for practitioners of the arcane arts. A dark reflection of typical parental love. Huh. Well, that's kind of neat. Though still completely unfamiliar. In fact, literally unfamiliar. They kind of sound like they're like the dark polar opposites of actual familiars. Also, I guess it's just as well Auric couldn't strike up a conversation, given that he's an arcane caster himself. I can't see that conversation having gone over well.
Let's get this thing open.
So yeah, just weird little wild magic monsters to wear us down a little. Your classic low-level encounter of attrition.
No time to rest.
The Parables of Dawnmaster Vaseed. Same title, but not the same name as the person buried over yonder. That was Dawnmaster Askel. An epic-looking tome that opens with an illustrated panel of Dawnmaster Vaseed riding into battle against an army of Sharan clerics. In his raised hand, his trusted battle axe, its sharp edge glinting in Lathander's light. Mention of a battle axe, so likely an item we can find around here somewhere. Let's check the other one. His Holy Blood, Volume 3, Dawnmaster Vaseed. This missal commemorates the founding of Rosimorn Monastery. For my sins, it only just occurred to me that I had lacked in my record-keeping of late. But then again, we have been busy. In our fray with the Sharan thieves, we retrieved the blood, but one of the heretics sinned most heinously. They struck the amber encasing his blood with a maul of pure void, damaging the most holy relic. As if knowing of this blasphemy, the exposed blood shone with an unbreakable radiance, reducing the Sharan horde to dust for us to sift from this now holy ground. The relic became far too unstable to carry back to Hap. Thus we fashioned a simple chapel around ourselves here, and have encased the blood within steel, to be wielded as a most righteous cudgel against those who sit in shadow. Ooh, interesting. So an actual relic of Lathander, damaged but then encased in steel, with references to a cudgel, so perhaps a bludgeoning weapon of some sort. Though his other book also specifically depicted an axe. To keep it from the lustful sacrilege of thievery, our simple chapel will become a great monastery, and the blood shall be secreted away with a great many more wiles than it was before. I find it hard to fathom that we've left such an artifact in such an obvious open space to begin with. Alas, his light singes away the mistakes of the past, leading to a more fortuitous dawn, indeed. We're actually a little all over the place here, because there was also reference to Lathander's lance, which would imply piercing. So a piercing lance, a bludgeoning cudgel, and a slashing axe. Let's go ahead and punch out this wall.
Done.
Exit secured. Oh, you know what? I'll bet this is another adamantine forge situation. Like they're being deliberately nebulous about what this relic is, because we'll be able to reforge it into something appropriate for our party. The core relic itself is described as like Lathander's blood encased in cracked amber, and then they just slap that inside of another steel shell. So you have the core of the relic plus the actual practical functional casing. That certainly does jive with what we've seen in earlier areas, the susser bark and the forge in particular. Oh, and look at that. We've got a way into the winery. Which, yep, there they are. Hey guys, what's up? I really hope we can talk with these guys. It does feel very weird they'd have a bunch of low-tier kobold cannon fodder just hanging around in this late Act 1 area. Potion of animal speaking recipe. Obvious climbable vines. That's got to be our way up to the rooftop. I imagine we have some sort of quest to choose between the eagles and the kobolds. Record of complaints. Okay, I think we're clear. Lots of interesting stuff. I mean, this was a bit of a slower episode, but we got ourselves a really secure foothold here. Plus, lots of intriguing leads. Let's give these books a quick gander. This recipe I discovered entirely by mistake. It turned out to be my greatest breakthrough in the search for a cure to growing new scales. After imbibing the errant potion, I heard one of the magpies bragging about a beautiful platinum scale it had found. The scale itself is one of the most powerful objects I have ever seen. I suspect it might have come from the god Bahamut himself. If only I could harness its powers, I am sure I, too, might someday be covered once again, this time even in platinum. Meanwhile, here is the recipe that brought all this on. Feels like you're really kind of setting yourself up for a sort of divine hubris situation here, bud. Said the no-eyed, worm-brained dragonborn who saddled himself to the cosmic squid boss. Yeah, I guess I'm not really in a great position to, to criticize anyone's pursuit of divine might. More notably, tossing us a recipe book for potions of speak with animal does feel like a very blatant clue that we're supposed to speak with animals here. A dust-covered tome of complaints to the Dawnmaster. Who allowed a pilgrim to pay for wine with a cat? And what sort of cat even is it? One of my novices told me they saw it grow to the size of a humongous hound. That was moments before it attacked. The poor novice didn't stop trembling for a 10-day. Please, I beg of you, can we just accept gold for goods like ordinary folks? And for God's sake, call on someone to get rid of that nasty animal. Ah, that's cute. Okay, so there's our flimsy excuse for this particular ablative encounter. A small thing, but I do appreciate that kind of attention to detail. But yeah, I feel like this is a good place to call it. We've got our loop secured. We've got a fairly good idea about what's going on in various other areas around the temple. We know we've got eagles up top, kobolds below. We've got Gith somewhere deeper into the facility, wherever they've buried their creche. So lots of potential leads to follow next time around. Not to mention the mystery of Lathander's lost relic. So yeah, we will hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping. And we will pick up here next time, as we go boldly venture forth. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Does this count as adventuring?